Alright, I'll show you how to work with that JFrame file or JFrame class that I provided as codes. In this case I called it face GUI. In this case what I'm going to do, instead of drawing multiple faces, I'm going to give the user the option to make the face smaller or bigger. So if you look at this, the code looks exactly the same here. Here I give a relative drawing of a face based on how much what percentage of the box it should be moved over and how much space it should take. And I have a variable called size of face, which I'm defaulting to small. Okay, so that is those are all pieces of information that I can use. If I go, the draw face is unchanged. It does not need to be changed. We can just leave it there. This here will draw the face in the bounding box specified like this. So the X and the Y are the top left corner, and the width is the width of the box, and the height is the height of the box. And this is a box that should be contained inside of this window that's indicated by this canvas. So it will be a portion of that. It's not going to take up the entire window unless it is indeed the top left corner is 0, 0, and the width and the height are indeed the size of the canvas. Alright, so this here is the paint. This is the one that I'll have to update. This right now just draws one, and I want to put the only thing that it's saying is I'm going to take up the entire window, except I'm going to put a little bit of a border around the window so that it does not fill up every single piece of space. So I'm just put a little bit of a border around it, and so the X and the Y are going into the border size, and then the width is going to take the entire width of the window except for the border at the left and at the right, so 2 times the border size. And it's going to take the height of the entire window except for the border at the bottom and at the top. And then I'm going to draw that face. Over here, one last thing to show is that I'm going to ask the user whether they want a small, a medium, or a large face. So I'm going to give them an input dialog and I'm going to give these possible values. And it will give me a drop-down box. I'm going to store the result in size, which is a string. I'm creating the window, and I'm setting the size of the face to the small, the medium, or a large, which is a string. Notice that you're going to be working with an integer because you're saying how many faces to draw. And here I'm just working with the size. So notice that the data type is going to be different. Alright, so just looking at this, the code that is here right now, I can compile this and run this. And if I ask for small, it's going to give me a big face, and if I ask for large, it's also going to give me a big face because I haven't changed anything. I'm not using that input yet. Alright, so let's update this paint such that I will do something different based on whether the value is small, medium, or large. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a switch statement for that. So switch, and the value that I wanted to do was size of face, was the variable that this was stored in up above. It's right there. Size of face is sitting at the top. And there is 3 possible values for this. So I have the case where it is small. I have the case where it is medium. And I have the case where it is large. And I will also do a default case. Alright, so these are the 3 cases that I need to work with, and I'm going to work with that. Now for both large, actually let's do the small one first, and I am going to copy this over. When it is small, I don't want to use the entire window like I am doing right here. I only want to use a portion of the window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my border bigger. So instead of just using 1 border, I am going to use 3 borders. For the medium, I'll use 2. So times 3. Same here. Instead of just using 1 border for each side, I'm going to go 3 times, or you can just do times 6. But basically, I want to use 3 borders on both sides, and then I will draw the face. For a medium, I am going to do almost the same thing, except that I'm going to multiply by 2. And since these variables are now defined, I do not have to define them again. I am just going to use them. And I'm going to double my border size in this case instead of triple. And again, I'm going to double my border size, so I need to do that on both sides. And in this case, I'm going to draw the face. Now for both the large and the default, so I'm going to say large is the default, I am going to leave the border at its default size. Why is this not indented? One thing that needs to be inserted here is that unless I want several faces to be drawn, I will need a break statement in here. Copy this over. Alright, so the large and the default are now the same, and for the default I don't need a break. Alright, let's compile this. And I forgot to take all of these because I can't redeclare the same variable again. It already exists. So I just want to use it rather than declaring it. And run it. And let's see what happens when I ask for a small, and I get a small face. If I run it and I ask for a medium face, I get a larger one. And if I run it and I ask for a large face, I should get a large face. Okay, so I've used the switch statement and 3 different computations to get 3 sizes of faces. Now in this case I don't truly need this default because these are the only possible values that the user can select. So I know that there's not going to be any other ones, but it is safer. One thing I want to illustrate is what will happen if I don't include the break statements. And let's select a small one. And let's do a small one, and 2 faces got drawn right on top of the other. So notice that if you want to stop, you need to put a break there. If you do not put a break there, it will also execute the code from the next case, and sometimes that is desirable. In this case it is not, so you need a break inside of your switch statements to make sure only one of the cases is executed. So this gives you a basic idea on how to work with a switch statement and how to modify some of this code to change the way the face is drawn.